Hi there guys, it's now the following day from the end of the last GTV video, and if you remember in the last video we literally just offered up the front end to it. I ran out of time, that was it. So what I've done since is I've put the bonnet on and I have done one single weld to hold the front end on and a couple of pincer grips just to hold it into position, and I'll show you where I'm at now. So just got a couple of grips holding that in line there, and we've literally just got one crappy weld there holding the front end on, and I'm supporting the engine with the jack because the main attachment points are on this panel. So the bonnet's on. All I've literally done is lined the bonnet up and put these clips on down here, and fingers crossed it shuts. As you can see, it goes down there and the line there is okay. And on the other side, that goes all the way. I could probably go in a little bit more on that side, or the other side out a bit more. But yeah, everything goes in. I've taken the fixing points off for the bonnet cable so the bonnet can be open and closed. So I do need to make sure it opens and closes okay. So now I just want to put the headlights in, put the front bumper on, just to make sure everything lines up still, because I imagine that that front corner down there is still going to be a little bit bent, so I'm going to have to bend it back into shape. If any side is going to be well out of a line, it's going to be this side. So let's pop this headlight in and see if we can get the 3 bolt holes to match up. Almost. As you can see, that there and that there. So the headlight needs to come over that way a little bit. There we go, see that hole there, that one's in there, and that one there. So now I've moved that. Does the bonnet still close? No, it doesn't. It's a shame. The hinge, and try and get that a little bit more into line.
What I'm doing now is I'm just having a feel for where the hole for the bonnet should be, and I'm just going to try and line it up with my hand, a bit of a guesstimate of how far it needs to be bent, and luckily enough it didn't take much, and I was in the right position. So we'll start by rebuilding the front end by putting the radiator support on. It's always a good sign that the front end is aligned well when you can get all 4 screws in for the radiator support. Now just a quick weld on the front panel so we can remove the grips so we can fit this front bumper. Now GTV front bumpers are a pain in the backside to fit because you've got 2 clips at the front and then you've got 2 clips at the side, which you all need to get in together. If you don't put them in together, you can't get the side clips in, so the side of the bumper will never fit correctly. It'll also help if there's 2 people to fit a front bumper, but unfortunately I didn't have that. Now we're on to fitting the first light and the second light, and now we're ready to see if this all lines up. Which of course it did. Did you ever doubt me?
I am quite pleased with that. Do a little bit of spacing on this side just to pull that bumper out, but that's plenty of room there to do that. And again, the line there, once that's all bolted in, that'll be perfect. And the bonnet closes. I do need to raise it up a little bit on the driver's side. But there you go, I am happy with that. Impressed with how easy that was to line up, and everything just went together nicely. So I'm going to weld it all up off camera now, so I want to concentrate on welding, don't want to be bothering with filming it. So join me in a second when it's all welded up.
A few moments later.
The leg is all welded on now. I haven't welded on the driver's side yet because I still want to fiddle with that and make sure it's all in a line before I do that. But at least the engine mount can go back on now, and technically it can be driven around a bit. So I do need to move it from the position it's in because it's blocking everything in the workshop. So show you what I've done. All welded all the way around. I have stood in some areas I've done like a double weld. I am going to leave my welds proud because all of that is hidden beneath there, and by grinding it down you also weaken it a bit, so at least there's some more metal there, so if it does have an accident again it's all nice and strong there and will never break there again. So now I want to wash my face because I've got a bit dirty, and then I'm going to remove the front bumper. I want to get that bonnet cable on and make sure the bonnet opens and closes okay, and then we're ready to weld the rest of it up, and then it's prepped for paint. So pretty good going today.
On goes one of the clips for the bonnet cable. On goes the cable itself now.
Right, let's see if it works.
As you can see, I'd already started welding the support for the bonnet on. I just need to finish off doing this last bit of welding by welding all the leg in position. But what I'm also doing is using various hammers and spacers and pry bars and everything just to get everything nice and flat, so it looks nice and pretty when we've got some paint on it. Now just cleaning off the weld so it's all nice and tidy, no bits of debris on there, so we can put some primer on there and then we can start putting a bit of seam sealer on. Oh, just cleaning off the extra seam sealer. Quick look at it outside in the autumn sun now, and as you can see there, it's all welded up, all seam sealed, and you can see the weld where I've done it all down on this side here, all nicely covered up, so by the time it's all finished you'll never be able to tell that it was in an accident at all.
So there you go guys, if you want to see a longer version of this video, join my channel from £1.99 a month where you'll get early access to videos and longer videos for you to watch without so much cutting action going on.
So now we're on to the final push, just going to give the whole front end a good degrease. It's probably going to get several degreases before I actually get to priming it because it is quite dusty and disgusting after probably 20 odd years of oil and grime build up. Now using an abrasive pad on the grinder just to get rid of this little bit of rust so I can then treat it and then stick some acid etch primer on it to stop it from coming back. Now once we've done that, we moved on to 240 grit sandpaper, trying to get into all the little nooks and crannies so we can then get some more acid etch primer on it and then give it a thick coat of primer. A few other little spots of rust that was also treated off camera. Now we're just putting some polythene all over the car to protect it from overspray. And you will also notice that I don't bother covering up the bonnet because something else happens later on in the video. Right, already done the acid etch primer and started priming the rest of the front end. So we just need to finish off doing the passenger leg now and then we can let it dry and put some paint on it. The observant people there will notice I have left the bonnet open switch in place, because 9 times out of 10 the little bolts which hold them in will snap off, so it's easier just to cover it in a bit of masking tape and leave it there. Now it gets its first coat of silver paint. Gave it 3 coats of paint and then 1 good thick coat of lacquer or clear coat, and then left it to dry overnight.
The next day.
Now the rebuild begins, starting with a brand new radiator. Also off camera I fitted a headlight, fitted the bits of wiring loom and a few other bits and bobs before I started installing the AC pipe. So I was a little bit worried I should have done those first before the radiator, but I did manage to squeeze them in eventually. Need to tighten up the nut connecting it to the heating system, and then the pipe which goes from the condenser to the aircon pump. And there's another little one hiding down there which comes from somewhere else. I can't remember where from as I'm doing the voice editing. All the pipe work for the cooling system. While it was all apart, I did make sure nothing had been damaged, nothing had been cracked or pinched. It was all okay, just used a few brand new Jubilee clips, and then we were ready to fill it up with water. Now, if you remember from the first video, we did have a connector that was damaged and ripped off, so I've got another connector for it and I'm just soldering it on now. So I've just fluxed the wires and I'm now just putting some solder onto each of the wires so I can then melt them together and they should join nicely. There is my salvage connector off another scrap GTV. As you can see, the wire colours do match up. What I do need to get, I need to get like a little tiny sort of crocodile clip so I can hold these wires together without having to burn my hand like I am here. See, I was being a proper man and not wincing at the pain of me stabbing myself with a boiling hot soldering iron. What I also remembered to do for a change was to put some heat shrink on the wires as well before I soldered them together. Slipping the heat shrink over now eventually, Just need to resolder that joint a little bit because it had separated and I couldn't get the heat shrink over. Eventually it does go back on. Trust me, it does. Eventually it goes back on. Normal method is just to shrink it together with a soldering iron. Bigger heat onto it and it will soon shrink. There we go, all done. Just fitting the last few pieces now, the headlight connectors, the headlight, the airbox, just making sure that there's no leaks or anything like that, and making sure it wasn't cracked from the accident. We're all good, it is in good condition. Not forgetting to tighten everything up.
Right guys, we are almost at the finish line now. A couple of things I've got left to do. One of them is to secure the intake pipe, which is rattling around. And the other parts are fit the silver front bumper I picked up. And also the silver bonnet. I was going to paint these up, but looking at how the colour difference between the exact paint match I had done, it seems as though the silver has aged, so I didn't really want to paint them just for it not to match, and then I could blend it half into the car, but then the front half of the car would look so much brighter than the rear half. So instead, these came up on Facebook, so I snapped them up. Yes, they probably weren't the cheapest, but it saved me the hassle of painting them. So we just need to get these last few bits done now, and she's finished. Now, let's see if it closes. I imagine I'm going to have to line it up again.
After about 10 minutes of opening and closing the bonnet, pulling it forward a smidge, pushing it back a smidge, opening the door to undo the bonnet yet again, I eventually got there and it fits perfectly.
Lovely. Now it's time for the final piece of the bodywork puzzle.
Felt like Goldilocks adjusting the bonnet. This time it was too high, next time it was too low, the third time it was just right. Well, I was planning on finishing the video in this episode, but unfortunately I've had to wait for an expensive part to arrive, meaning it delayed filming the end of the video, and it's now getting close to the end of the week, so I thought I'd have to leave it here. So thanks for watching, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video.